Hey, good morning. We're living in some really challenging times, and so I wanted to tell three stories about things that I've learned over the years that have kind of helped me clarify what to do and how, and how to have courage and do the right thing. So the first one is years ago when I was teaching. Uh, One day after school, I found a suicide note on a desk, and it was unsigned, but it said that that person was going to kill themselves that night. And so by the time I was able to figure out who it was, most of the school was closed, and the only person around was an assistant principal. All the counselors were gone, the principal was gone. And I didn't get along with this assistant principal at all. And I told him, "Hey, I need to report this. I'm really worried." And the assistant principal basically said, "Thanks for reporting it, but we're not going to deal with this until tomorrow." And I was like, "That's not good enough. The note says tonight." And he said, which was true, "I'm not trained to deal with suicide, um, and so don't make the call." And he even went so far as to say, like, there's a really good chance that you'll lose your job if you make this call tonight. Um, and so I was stuck because I knew that that was wrong, and but I didn't have any way to solve the problem, and so I went home and I cried. Um, I was really worried about this kiddo. And so I went home and I cried and prayed for a couple hours, and then after that, my wife was like, "Why don't we just go get a beer and a pizza and just get out of the house for a little bit?" And so I went, and we went to the pizza joint, and then there was the counselor that knew this kid at the pizza place, and I said, "Oh my gosh, here's the here's what happened. Like, what do I do?" Um, and he said, "Yeah, you're not trained to deal with this kind of thing, but this is the kind of suicide note that, like, they deliberately left it for you. They wanted you to find it, and so in all my training, this is one of those things where you should just make a call. You should call his home tonight and just check in. Show him that you care. Don't even mention the suicide. Just show him that you care." And so I did, and it was a really, really, really tough decision. But the reason that I did it is because in my heart, I knew I knew the consequence. I knew I was probably going to lose my job. And it was okay because I was like, if I have to make a choice between losing my job and this kid staying alive, I will not be able to live with myself if I don't do something. So I made the call, and he's still here. He's a dad now. He has kids, and I'm really happy that he's here. Um, so the next story is that I got to meet. I've had the luxury of being able to meet, and privilege, I should really say, four, maybe five of the freedom riders, and have conversations with several of them. And so one of them was named Joan Mulholland. She was a young white woman freedom rider. She was, if you've ever seen pictures of, like, the Woolworth lunch counters with, like, people pouring salt and ketchup on the people trying to desegregate the lunch counters in the South, she was one of those people. Um, and so as my activism and involvement in the community has grown over the years, one of the things that I noticed is, like, I truly believe that the heart is a transformative tool. My heart was the thing that made me reach out to that student that night, and 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 we can all see change when people's hearts open up. And I think that, um, that's why I think that's where this idea of, like, snowflake comes up, because what so many activists are trying to do is connect their heart to other people. And the problem with that is that, bullies love seeing other people that are vulnerable and exploiting that. And so what Joan pointed out to me is I said, like, my heart will bring me to these situations, and then I'll bare my heart, and then I'll just get crushed, and it's really hard. And she said, "Ah, that's the trick. what you're doing is your heart will bring you to the doorstep. It'll even help you walk through the door. But then once you get there, oftentimes the people on the other side, the powers that be on the other side, don't have any capacity to listen to your heart. So just close it down and protect it. Use your heart to bring you there, and let. And she was very Christian religious. She said, and let God take over. At that moment, let grace take over. And so again, I'm noticing this over and over where your heart requires you to act. And so take your heart forward, and then once you get to those really stressful situations, it's okay to turn it off. It's okay, absolutely, to say, "Hey, I will hear you out if you hear me out." If there's some kind of reciprocity, and most bullies will not give you that reciprocity. They'll just but you can tell if somebody's going to give you the reciprocity, then absolutely, let's open up, let's connect to them. But if they're not going to give you that reciprocity, if they're going to spray you with a fire hose or pour ketchup on you, that is not reciprocity. Um, and so that was a huge key for me. Use your heart to get there, walk through the door, protect it, pray. And so the third story I want to tell you today is about this man named Carl Wilkins. You can look him up as well. He was the only American who stayed in Rwanda during the genocide. And he was an evangelical priest over there. And when the State Department came and rescued his family and everybody, he said, no, if I actually believe in Christ and in what I'm teaching, I need to stay. And so he stayed for the 100 days of the genocide, and every day would get up and go out and try to get people to stop killing each other. And he would bandage the wounded and give them water. And it was really remarkable. And I got to meet him, and I got to ask this question that I've always wondered is, how does one act in a good way in the middle of hell? What's the trick? And he said, the only thing that really gave me courage day in and day out is he had this friend who was it was a French Canadian priest. And the two of them would wake up and they would connect to each other in the morning. And there would be another person who would reflect their truth back to them. And so even when the whole world was going crazy all around them, they could look at this one person and they could say, you believe in me and I believe in you. Let's go try again. And he quoted the Bible. Again, he said, that's what that verse where two or more are gathered in my presence. God is here, I am there. That's what it's all about. And so you have that strength in having somebody else there. And I know that this story is true because the happy ending to the suicide story is that after all that happened, I was fully prepared to lose my job. And that assistant principal went to the counselor and they said, we're gonna put Russell on probation and he may lose his job. And that counselor said, if you're gonna do that, you have to put me on probation too. And you'll have to let me go too. And we got through it. You can do it too. Go out and kick ass.